kids and marriage. Is it true that your sex life goes down the drain once kids come into the picture?
True.
No, I don't agree with that, but I think certainly you have to pick a time and place.
Certainly gets interfered with, yes.
I think you can still have a good time. You just got to be more creative about when. It's not necessarily at night. Sometimes it's you get everybody on the school bus or in the afternoon. You just got to move around them a little bit more. That's all. It's not mom who's going to catch you. It's your child who's going to catch you.
I think your sex life is what you make it, and I think there's more to life than just sex, especially as you get older. It's not, that, oh my God, my mom's going to catch me. It's so thrilling and exciting now. I think that it takes a backseat to other things, but I don't think it goes down the drain.
Dr. Mark Hillman, a family and marriage therapist, says many parents are using kids as an excuse when it comes to their sex life or even their marriage. But he says the reality is couples want to live the American dream. A man and a woman come together, get married, and then there comes the baby. The woman's role changes as a mom. The man's role changes as a dad. Dr. Hillman says they don't necessarily understand the full impact that that's going to have on their relationship because all of the couple's focus is now on a child who is 100% dependent on those two people.
But what happens is the baby becomes the priority. And there's an issue there because now let's say as an example, I feel left out. I feel like, what am I, chopped liver, as that saying goes? And so I get lonely, I get vulnerable, but I'm a man, so I'm certainly not going to reveal that, So how do I act? I pout, I harumph.
Dr. Hillman says couples should really sit down and talk about how it's going to change their lives.
And it goes back to couples really sitting down and talking about, and that Lamaze does a good job of that. Let's talk about how this is going to change your life. Because certainly it does. We're just not ready for it.
I think when you're having children in a planned way, they bring a lot to a family in terms of the things you do and the way you communicate with each other, and they're a real opportunity to grow closer. But I think that other people don't always plan it or they don't parent very well, and that can take a toll, especially if you don't share the same values.
Dr. Hillman says marriage counseling helps couples sit down and talk about their values, who they were before having children, and who they've become. He also says communication is the key, but as long as it's
authentic communication. People communicate, couples communicate, but you know what? Some do it very directly, where they're very upfront with each other, and that's sometimes painful. Some couples do it in a very left-handed, indirect way through a lot of passive-aggressive behavior. You hear about, women withholding sex because the husband did this or the spouse did that. And so it gets real complicated. But, again, and that's the value sometimes of marriage counseling, to really sit down and talk about a new family.
For years, people believed that having children would greatly increase marriage stability. Some parents still feel that strong today.
I think it makes a family stronger to have kids in the family.
I think they're fun to have, nice to have children around.
According to a recent study, each child adds to the risk of divorce by 37%. Dr. Hillman and the parents that I spoke with for this story all agree that children change a marriage, but only the activities inside a marriage. Those activities are what lead to the changes in your relationship.
I think the time commitment, anytime you add a time commitment like that, I think it adds a lot of different factors to married life. Your sleep schedule is off. Anybody that has kids knows that. And you can't just pick up and go like you used to go. You have to plan more, and I think that's, anytime you add something like that, it adds a little bit more of a stressor on the marriage.
It's tough, especially if you're working parents, you're trying to find the time for yourself, so it really is difficult.
Dr. Hillman says parents need to realize that change is normal. With or without kids, life changes.
How has this changed? And any couple who says, well, it hasn't, I have difficulty embracing that.
Make sure that you're spending time as a married couple, not just as people paying the bills, living under the same roof, doing things for kids. You have to be who you started out being.
Take a deep breath and don't be so serious with your life.
Make time, you have to make time for yourselves. That's what brought you together in the first place, and your focus is on your kids, but you have to keep a focus on each other as well.
Because I think you have a priority towards your kids. You want to do everything that you can to make sure that they turn out to be, good adults. But I think taking time as a couple is equally important.
Take time for yourselves, put the kids to bed and talk.
So how do you make that happen? How do you make time for yourselves as a married couple? How do you keep the spark alive?
Date each other. Now, when I say date each other, that doesn't mean you have to go out and spend money, because everybody complains about the cost of a babysitter. It's $12 an hour. Oh, my God. And then by the time you go out, and then it's, the cost of a meal. You go to a movie, which is crazy, because you go to a movie, all your attention's on the movie.
It doesn't even have to be as crazy as date night, but don't separate yourselves into, well, you're going to watch sports in the basement, I'm going to sit upstairs, and that's all there is to it. I mean, you have to still be a community, a couple, a family.
We try to go out maybe once a week, twice a month, something like that.
When was the last time you had a picnic in your living room after the kids went to bed? When was the last time you got dressed up in something sexy? I got dressed up in a suit and tie, and we had martinis and cheese doodles at the dining room table.
If you can, try to schedule them so that they're set in stone and that you definitely do them.
Oh my God, that sounds so, unromantic. But you know what? It's real, because each of us are sexual human beings. And so I think enhancing that, talking about it, and there are many ways that you can seduce each other.
How do you seduce each other? How do you create that allure after children are in the picture? Dr. Hillman says it can be as easy as going out for a cocktail.
Here's $20. Go to the ladies' room, take off your underwear, come back and give it to me. See, you just giggled.
Dr. Hillman says this fantasy is important to keep as a married couple, not just from a sexual point of view, but from a sensual point of view. He says you need to keep the attraction, the chemistry alive that brought you together in the first place.
When was the last time you slipped your shoe off and rubbed your husband's thigh underneath the table, when you were at a family function or dinner? Oh my God, I can't do that. Dr. Hillman, don't talk like that. That's too intimate. But what do you think is going on here? You want a healthy marriage? Then we're all sexual human beings. Then talk with each other. It's the fantasy, it's the allure, which would really enhance parents' relationships after they become, adults after they become parents.
If you would like to learn more about the topic and hear other suggestions from Dr. Hillman, friend Parentology on Facebook. I have posted more on there.
Most people use a bus stop to get from place to place, but to some kids in the Capital District, the bus stop means something else.
That's Dr. Brian Sheridan. He runs the Bus Stop Club, a group specifically for local kids who have siblings with special needs. Lily Keeler is one of those siblings.
My brother has Down syndrome, so he requires a lot of attention, and Dr. Brian understands that kids with disabilities require a lot of attention, so he started it so that siblings could feel like they had the same amount of attention, if not more at times, than their siblings.
There's probably somewhere around 25,000 siblings out there with a need, and our program's looking for all 25,000 of them.
We just spent 2 days in Boston because her brother had to go to Boston Children's Hospital, and she was about 4 hours just sitting in a room while Jude was getting attention. And so this is her special place where she gets attention, and she knows that the focus is on her and she's important and cared about.
How important is it to provide this attention to kids with sick siblings?
I think it's very important. Studies show that kids do better when they have a way to reach out and express themselves.
They're doing a great job. They're really making us feel better about ourselves and about our siblings.
That's our goal, is to try to let these kids realize that they're not alone, and it's normal to have a sibling with a disability or a chronic illness.
What is the best part about the Bus Stop Club?
Just knowing you have support here, and Dr. Brian's really nice, so I've known him for a long time, so he's kind of like a family member to me now.
And not just to Lily, but to all the kids that get together for fun games, field trips, and bonding activities.
For instance, they talked about the perfect family tonight. And it's interesting what everybody's idea of the perfect family is, but
there is no perfect family.
There is no perfect family. There is no perfect. There is no normal. It is what it is.
But if there were a perfect family somewhere, it seems as if the Bus Stop Club would be it. In Albany, Aliz Koletas, Parentology.
I'm sure you've heard it many, many times that electronic toys aren't so good for young children. So as a parent, you're faced with another decision when it comes to your children's lives. So how do you pick the perfect toy? I found this unique place. Let's check it out. It's called New York Toy and Hobby. It's a hands-on educational fun store. The unique thing about this store, they don't sell battery-operated toys. All their toys have educational value.
All of our toys are for the imagination and creativity.
You can also find toys with a high play value, like these puppets, for example. And they can also help the story come to life.
They have learning centers for teachers and parents, a dolls section, arts and crafts.
If you have a child with special needs, don't stress out. They have games like Guess How I Feel. But how do they know what toy is good for your child?
As we've been talking with special education teachers, speech language pathologists from the Capital District, from Shenendehowa, different daycares around the area, just trying to find out what is the need, what are parents looking for, what's the availability out there. And we found that there are a lot of catalog ordering, not a lot of places you can go to physically touch the item, test it out, see how it's going to work for your child before you buy it.
Here, you and your child are encouraged to touch.
We are kid tested, mother approved in here, and if the kids love it, the mothers love it, and that's what is important to us, is having the kids have a great experience in here.
Come in, play, ask if you want to open something. We're more than happy to do that. We encourage play. We want you to come and have a great experience. Come and find the perfect item for your child. Let your child come in and pick it. Explore. Open things up. Run around. Play with what we have out. Don't be afraid. We are a hands-on store. We love kids. We encourage play. Play is one of the most important learning aspects of a young child.
If your child is fascinated by science, you can find things like the Blasting Volcano Kit, the Outer Space Science Kit, and many more. How about organic toys? Do they carry those as well?
Yes, we do have some organic toys made from bamboo with natural plant extracts for paint. They are on the pricier side, but the quality there is just amazing. It's organically made, hypoallergenic, all from natural ingredients.
We went after the most unique things that we could find, things that other stores don't have. We're trying to be unique. We're trying to set ourselves apart as a retailer, to have things, we don't need the things that the big boxes have.
Now, how do they come up with this unique selection?
A lot of our ideas we get are when we go down to New York City for the International Toy Fair, and that's where just about every company that makes any kind of toy or item regarding children, they come to show off their product. And Lisa and I go down and we spend time looking at all of these vendors, what they have. Then we come back and we do our own research.
We do a lot of research online. We sit up at night on the computers. We listen to our customers. We have customers probably come in, twice a day saying, do you have this? Do you have that? And we look it up and we try and get it into the store for them if at all possible.
For more information on what else you can find there, just friend Parentology on Facebook. We've posted more on there.
And this wraps up this episode of Parentology. Thanks for watching. If you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you have a topic in mind, just log on to my website, parentologywithpaula.com, and friend Parentology on Facebook.
First you're numb, and first you're numb, you're proud, and then you're proud. You're crying out loud, crying out loud. And yet your greatest fears come true. You're a parent, you're a parent. You don't know what to do. Does this thing come with an instruction manual?